Good afternoon. My name is Blake Silvio. This is my PetroChina presentation in reference to my China country assignment for Business 4422 International Trade for Professor Romero. In this presentation, we will assess who PetroChina is, what they do, how they came into existence, a brief history of the company. We'll evaluate the growth and financial metrics such as profit, income, and revenue. We'll evaluate the impact that PetroChina has had on China's trade policies, whether the economy has grown or declined due to PetroChina, and also the impact on the environment, positively or negatively, and the changes they plan to make to fix the issues that they possibly created. So who is PetroChina? PetroChina is a subsidiary of China National Petroleum Corporation, CNPC, which is one of the four major oil companies governmentally owned by China. They're the largest oil and gas producer in China, with over 475,000 employees worldwide. They have subsidiaries all over the world in countries such as London, Indonesia, and Australia, just to name a few. They engage in various oil and gas activities, such as exploration, development, production, and refining. They also transport crude oil, natural gas, and refined products all across the world. Brief history of the growth of PetroChina. Created in 1999, under 25 years ago, and already it has grown to become the most profitable company in China. With $400 billion in revenue posted for 2021, a profit of $114 billion in 2021, and an increase of 500% from $22 billion in 2020 to $110 billion of net income in 2021. Also, already in 2022, it's posted a 60% year-on-year growth, as well as 60% earnings per share. In 1978, China underwent trade reforms to go from a government-controlled economy to a more freer market economy. This is large in part due to the inefficiency of the petroleum market. Their answer to this problem was make their own companies, PetroChina being one of them. They required firms such as CNPC, the parent company of PetroChina, to purchase refineries that had the capacity of producing more than 1 million tons of crude oil per year. They had the exclusive rights to sell the petroleum products. They had the exclusive rights to the railways, where the railways could only transport products belonging to PetroChina and Sinopec. And also, they had the exclusive rights to supply ethanol gasoline for cars, creating a monopoly, basically forcing out all other competitors and creating a conglomerate. PetroChina had a direct impact on the trade policy. China is the second largest importer of crude oil in the world. However, they're highly reliant on the United States for crude oil. But they're in a trade war with the United States since 2018. PetroChina's executives said that by 2030, they expect the oil and gas import to increase from the 70% and the 44% that they're already importing. So China's recognition of these problems and the realization that they have to have a trade partner with the United States. In 2020, President Trump and the leader of China were able to come up with the Phase 1 trade deal. However, the petroleum industry is not always positive. PetroChina had a massive benzene spill in 2005, which affected over 4 million homes in the city of Harbin, where benzene spilled into the river, which is the main water source for the water system that served these 4 million residents. There was almost little to no punishment due to China being the owner and the regulator of PetroChina. However, China now is implementing new policies on climate change and expects to be carbon neutrality by 2060. So in response to this, PetroChina is the first Asian national oil company to announce targeting near zero emissions by 2050. So in conclusion, while I may not agree exactly with the methods and the policies that China used, learning that the company is government owned after the changes that were made in 1978 to become more of a free market economy, less government controlled, and the company being monopolized where they run the petroleum industry, and then also regulated by the country, there's really no consequences for PetroChina if they were to make mistakes, unless it comes from an outsider, such as the United States, with the trade parties and agreements they have to get the oil that is necessary. But the results are unquestionable, undeniable, the success that China has created with PetroChina. The growth, the revenue, $400 billion a year, 60% gain year over year, and the massive impact it's had on the economy in China has been phenomenal for the locals and the world, with China becoming the second largest economy in the world, the second largest importer in the world, the largest exporter in the world, going from struggling to survive to receiving most FDI in the world is phenomenal success. So the end result to me is the PetroChina company had a phenomenal impact on the trade policies in China and the world as a whole.